Jeff's in for Mulsey because Mulsey is a dad again. Second day with his newborn, Ace Muller. Notre Dame reportedly holding everybody else hostage. There won't be any more realignment news until Notre Dame figures out what it wants to do. Arthur Moats, proud James Madison alum, joining us, Steelers analyst. Arthur, what conference do you think James Madison ends up in? The Big Ten?
Oh,
here he is,
wow.
right? Listen, we're making our first entrance to the 180 level. Son, though, we're going to run that for a couple of years. And after that, we're just going to see who leads this ACC, and we'll go ahead and take over that. That's how I'm viewing it. But either way, it's going to be exciting, man.
What do you make of the realignment stuff? What's your take on it as a big football fan?
To me, man, I kind of look at it as, good and bad. It's good in the sense that, man, it's fresh. It's exciting. It's getting talked about. We talk about how college football at times can become a little bit more routine. It can become a little bit more about coaches or more about boosters or the NIL talk. But now it's like, nah, man, we're going to get a chance to get back to talking football, to talking new, exciting rivalries. Man, who's not hyped to see potentially USC versus Ohio State, UCLA versus Michigan? Like, that's going to be fun to me. Then when you think about it from a basketball perspective, the different dynamic with some of these matchups. To me, I think that that's the good part. Like I said, it's fresh. It's keeping it where it's not just the NCAA has the power to do whatever. You're seeing now that, hey, man, conferences are aligning. Conferences are getting ready to make their own type of moves. So for me, I like that. But the negative part is the traditionalist in it. When you talk about some of the traditional college football matchups, the typical regional rivals that we're accustomed to seeing, we're going to lose out on that. I mean, when you talk about UCLA and USC, we're not going to get them versus Oregon State. We're not going to get them against Arizona State. So that's going to be a different dynamic. I do feel like we will feel a little bit of that loss in rivalry. Very similar to when we saw the Big East disperse the way that it did with some of their teams.
Yeah, that was a bummer.
That's kind of, like I said, that was like the negative with it. But you think about the positives come from it, right? We get some exciting matchups. It's fun, but we all remember West Virginia, Pitt. We all remember Pitt, UConn. We all remember.
Yeah, it's not fun when you're on the outside looking in, Arthur. When you root for a school that doesn't get included in all that stuff, that kind of bums me out.
Yeah, I can understand that. Man. But that's just where we're at right now with college sports. I mean, like I said, it's one of those things that change can be very nerve-wracking at times. But on the other side, it can be very exciting because I look at a school like Pitt and I say, well, hey, man, where are they in the next 5 years? Do they stay in the ACC, or are they potentially looking to jump to a Big Ten potentially or something like that? So that's the part, like I said, where it just keeps it fresh. It keeps it from being routine. And for me, I like that right now.
A bit of an aside, but along the same path, for guys that are going to get all these great NIL deals, what's it going to be like for rookies to have made more in college than they will in the first few years in the pros?
I mean, that's a crazy scenario, and I'm glad that it's finally happening because for a lot of people, I mean, that was never the case. With this obviously being with the second year now, we're going into the second year of college athletes officially being able to legally receive compensation. But as a whole, man, I just look at it like this. Eventually, we're going to get some type of governance, some type of market correction for the NIL situation. It's just fresh right now. It's the wild, wild west. That's why you're getting everybody getting the craziest deals possible because essentially it's how, some of these sports leagues are without salary caps. You can just pay whatever you need to pay to get the player that you need to get. But I do envision this having a little bit more boundaries on it as we continue to progress through this because at the end of the day, these are 18, 19, 20-year-olds we're talking about, whereas when you're talking about the professionals, man, we're grown-ups. You know what I mean? So we're just a little bit more mature than we are at 18. I know at least I was. So that's the part where, like I say, with the NILs, I just think that we're going to see it correct itself within the next couple of years. I don't think that we're going to continue to get these crazy deals for players that haven't even stepped foot on campus or aren't even starters, and then they lose their spot, but they still get the money. Like, we know that's just bad business. So eventually that's going to get figured out. But right now, I mean, more power to those young guys getting that money in their pocket.
Arthur Moats, Steelers analyst with us. Very nice use of inflection on the legally paid part of that
well
answer.
I like that.
Showing his media savvy and experience doing this job.
I caught that right?
Yes.
Legally.
Yes.
Legally, yes.
Let's rattle off some Steelers topics. How about this one, Arthur? If Deshaun Watson is suspended for the year, do the Steelers need to sweep the Browns? Should the expectation be that the Steelers go 2-0 against the Browns?
I mean, I'm sure here in Pittsburgh we're going to create that narrative, but in the reality of it, how much better are we than Cleveland minus Deshaun Watson? I mean, we're going to rattle off our defense and things like that. They'll rattle off their offense. Then they're going to rattle off some of their players on defense. We'll rattle off some of our players on offense. But when it comes down to the quarterback position, I mean, essentially the conversation is how do we feel about Jacoby Brissett versus Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, Chris Oladukin? I don't think it's that big of a difference there. So when we're talking about just the expectation of it being a sweep, I personally don't share that. I think if we split, that's a win right there in its own regard, just because we do not know what our quarterback is going to look like right now. And to me, that is something that I don't, find comfort in. I know Coach Thomas said he's eager about being uncomfortable. Well, I am not eager about being uncomfortable. I love knowing the quarterback situation and knowing that we had for the longest time that ironclad one guy that, hey, regardless of what's going to happen, he is our X factor. Right now, we're playing this game of defense. You got to show up each and every time. Najee, you got to be the guy each and every time. Hey, quarterback, don't have a bad game. Now, how many times is that going to work out for you? That's why I'm a little bit more skeptic in comparison to some of the other people, but that's why I don't necessarily think that should be the expectation just if Deshaun Watson is not there, because I think that when we're talking about the most important position, we don't have a clear-cut advantage there.
Obviously, the Steelers have to be better stopping the run than they were last year because the only place they could go is up. What tells you that they're going to be significantly better stopping the run?
To me, I think it's just personnel related, right? When you talk about the addition of Tyson Alualu, he was not there last year. He was injured. So that's a huge step in the right direction. You talk about the addition of Miles Jack in comparison to Joe Schobert. I think that's an upgrade as well. We talk about Larry Ogunjobi. Definitely him being here, if he is fully healthy, and we're anticipating him being that just based on how the contract reads and the money associated with it. I just think that having him is going to be an upgrade over some of the guys that were out there last year, especially not counting Chris Wormley, but when you talk about a young Isaiah Loudermilk, Isaiah played well at times, but he was young. He was inconsistent. You talk about a Henry Mundu. He played well at times, but he was young. He was inconsistent. Same could be said about Montravius Adams as well. So when you bring in a Larry Ogunjobi, a guy that is a lot more proven, a lot more of a higher pedigree and echelon, that in its own regard gives you more confidence. And then we all got to just play the game of, do you believe in Devin Bush or do you not believe in Devin Bush? If you believe in him, then you're saying that last year was a product of the ACL, the D-line in front of him, his coach's wife dying, and all these other variables. If you don't believe in him, then you're saying, well, hey, man, we're still going to have some issues because he is the weak link, so to speak, in that front seven. To me, I kind of fall in the middle of this thing. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I don't have a long leash or a lot of hope in him just based on what we've seen thus far. But that's not saying that he cannot turn it around. I just didn't think that it was solely or it was as much on the knee as, people tried to put it on. But we're going to get a chance to figure that out this year when he goes out there. But that would be the reason why I would say that, hey, if you had to hang your head on why this defense should be better against the run, I'm looking at those D linemen and saying that, hey, man, that's got to be a big upgrade and a big reason why.
Former Steeler Arthur Moats with us. Arthur, I turned on NFL Network this morning, and they were talking about the Steelers. Why? I'm really not sure.
Hey now.
It's not like there's no breaking news with them. But the discussion was, are they the most overlooked team in the NFL? Yes, people talk about them, but they're off the radar, and their point was no one is taking them seriously as a contender in the AFC, but they should be. Do you agree with that?
Well, put it like this. You can agree with it in the sense of they're going to be competitive, but they're going to be playing a extremely ugly style of football, a style of football that most fans aren't appeased by, a style of football that most media members don't really like to stomach or highlight. We like to focus on the negative of it, but it's going to be run the ball, play defense, play good special teams, get out of stadiums 21-17, get out of stadiums 17-10, ugly football. We know in today's NFL, by the way the rules are set up, by the way that it's marketed, we want to see scores. We want to see the high-flying touchdown passes, the Patrick Mahomes, the Brady offenses, and things like that. But that's just not what the Steelers are going to be. That's not their approach. They're gearing up to play big boy, heavy personnel football where they're going to try to take the air off the ball and slow this thing down, take possessions away from you, make you have to execute, and like I said, hope that the quarterback doesn't have a turnover. And that's kind of going to be that approach. Now, if you're talking about that, though, in the sense of watching it, well, yeah, it's not going to be appeasing. But when you're talking about the quality of it and can you win games like that, absolutely. We go back to 2019 season. That's a prime example of that brand of ball. That's how that brand of ball had them 2 games over 500 with, 3-4 games left in the season with Mason and Duck as the combination of quarterbacks. You can win like that, but like I said, the margin of error is really small, and it is very, very tough to stomach. But that would be why I would say, yes, the Steelers could be legitimate contenders. But like I said, man, that margin of error is really, really tight. So doing that on a week-in and week-out basis is going to be very, very tough.
Jeff, Arthur knows who he's talking to because he said there will be media that have a negative tone for those games.
Wow.
So I will put it through the Arthur translator.
Wow.
Media was code for me. Just
Damn.
You know we all know exactly who I'm referring to
Yes.
on this call.
yes. All right, Arthur, I'm going to put you through the same 4th of July cookout game that I did yesterday with Daniel Vogelback. Are you ready?
Here we go. I'm ready. Let's do it.
Hot dog or hamburger?
Hot dog.
Bratwurst or Italian sausage?
Ooh, bratwurst.
Macaroni salad, potato salad, or pasta salad?
Oh, gosh. I am not a salad in any capacity guy.
Not at all.
That's the same answer
Not at all.
Vogelback gave me. He said, I'm anti all three. What is it with pro athletes in this town and salads?
What if there's fries on the salad?
Yeah, that was just, oh, man, he was like potato salad. You want macaroni salad. I'm like, yo, I don't want any of it, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Grill or smoker?
Oh, smoker. Let's go.
Cornhole or can jam?
Ooh, cornhole. We can go cornhole.
Okay. Beer, wine, or liquor?
Liquor.
More specifically, cheap beer or IPAs?
Oh, you know what? I'm going to go cheap beer. Give me
Okay.
a cheap beer. Yeah, IPA, just, IPA, it's an acquired taste for me.
So when you go over to Arthur's house, just bring beer. That's what he's saying here.
Or just bring tequila. I'm a tequila guy first.
Last one, ice cream or pies? Or cake. I'm going to give you the cake out, too. You got 3.
Oh, this is tough. But you know what? Recently, I've been on an ice cream kick, so I'm going to go ice cream right now.
Oh, I thought he was going to go off the board with cookie.
No.
See, that's all in my rep. That's all in my wheelhouse. It's just literally these past 3 weeks, I've had a milkshake probably 4 days out of 7 days. Yeah, I'm on a binge right now, man. I go through these little phases of my life where it's like, yo, I have to have a milkshake. So I've been going around to all the places that have milkshakes, and I'm just testing them out. Who got the best milkshake?
That sounds like something for your YouTube page. I'm serious. Which, by the way, where can people get that?
I was going to say, man, well, hey, you go to YouTube, type in my name, Arthur Moats. You'll see the verified page come up with all of the media content right there for you.
Arthur, thank you. You have a great 4th of July weekend, man.
Hey, likewise, man. Always fun talking with you, baby.
There you go.